While the world's eyes are glued to the military strikes in the Middle East, a silent economic catastrophe has just been triggered, and it is coming for your wallet right now. Welcome to Trend Canvas. Since the conflict between the U.S., Israel, and Iran escalated in late February 2026, the real battlefield has shifted away from the skies and down to a narrow 21-mile stretch of water. Today, we are breaking down the devastating global economic shockwave caused by the sudden closure of the Strait of Hormuz, why the world economy is suddenly teetering on the edge, and who is secretly profiting from the chaos, the ultimate energy choke point and the historical flashback. First, we have to grasp the sheer scale of this bottleneck. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just a shipping lane, it is the main exit door for roughly one-fifth of the entire world's daily oil consumption. With this choke point effectively shut down by the conflict, billions of dollars of energy are trapped at sea. The immediate result? Global benchmark oil prices violently surged past $110 a barrel in a matter of weeks. To understand how dangerous this is, we have to look back at the 1970s. During the 1973 oil crisis and the 1979 energy crisis, the world experienced a massive supply shock. People were lining up for miles just to get gas, and the global economy plunged into a severe recession. What is happening right now is the largest global supply disruption since that era. We are witnessing a historic oil shock, and the market is panicking. The detour from hell, the logistics nightmare. So, if ships cannot go through the Strait of Hormuz, where do they go? They are forced into the detour from hell. Instead of a direct route, global shipping companies are now rerouting their massive cargo ships all the way around the southern tip of Africa, the Cape of Good Hope. This is a logistical nightmare. It adds 10 to 14 days to a single journey and burns millions of dollars in extra fuel per ship. It also creates massive traffic jams at ports that were never designed to handle this volume of diverted cargo, essentially freezing the global supply chain in its tracks. Skyrocketing insurance premiums. But the fuel costs are only half the story. There is a hidden financial layer here. War risk premiums. Shipping companies are legally required to insure their multi-million-dollar vessels and cargo. But when missiles are flying and military operations are active in the Gulf, insurance companies panic. They are now either completely refusing to cover ships entering the region, or they are charging absolutely astronomical fees. Even if a daring captain wanted to risk running the blockade, the insurance costs make the trip financially ruinous. This invisible financial wall is just as effective at stopping global trade as a physical blockade. The inflation nightmare returns. Because of these massive detours and astronomical insurance rates, this is no longer just about the price of gas at your local station. It is about the fundamental cost of moving everything. Diesel prices are spiking globally. Shipping companies are slapping massive fuel surcharges on all cargo. Just as global inflation was finally starting to cool down in early 2026, this explosive surge in transport costs threatens to drive up the price of consumer goods, clothing, and electronics across the board. The cost of doing business has skyrocketed overnight, the hidden supply chain crisis. There is also a hidden crisis hitting two essential pillars of society, our food and our technology. The Persian Gulf is a massive exporter of agricultural fertilizers. Since the blockade began, the prices for these crucial farming components have shot up by nearly 30%. When fertilizer costs skyrocket, the cost to grow crops skyrockets with it, locking in a global spike in grocery bills for the next harvest season. Furthermore, this blockade is halting the global trade of sulfur, a crucial byproduct needed to extract critical minerals like copper and cobalt. Without these minerals, the production of everything from smartphone batteries to advanced microprocessors grinds to a halt, the unexpected winners. But in every massive economic crisis, someone makes a fortune. So who are the unexpected winners of this chaos? First, domestic oil producers outside the Middle East, like those in the US, Canada, and South America, are seeing record profits as desperate countries buy up whatever non-Gulf oil they can find. Second, this crisis has triggered massive panic buying in the renewable energy sector. Governments and corporations are suddenly pouring billions into solar, wind, and electric vehicle infrastructure. desperately trying to permanently break their reliance on Middle Eastern oil. To truly understand the gravity of this crisis, we have to step away from the massive numbers and follow the physical trail of the chaos. Let's follow a single invisible thread across the globe. Imagine a massive cargo ship. Let's call it the Leviathan. It's a vessel the size of the Empire State Building, loaded with 20,000 shipping containers. It is scheduled to leave the Gulf carrying raw plastics, chemical components, and essential microchips. But overnight, the strait is closed. The Leviathan is abruptly ordered to drop anchor. For 3 days, the ship sits idle, burning thousands of dollars a day just to keep the lights on. Finally, the shipping company makes the painful call: take the detour. The Leviathan turns south, heading toward the treacherous, stormy waters of the African Cape. A journey that was supposed to take 3 weeks will now take 5. Thousands of miles away, in a highly automated manufacturing plant in Germany, the countdown begins. This factory builds heavy agricultural machinery, the tractors and harvesters that feed the world. Their entire business runs on just-in-time manufacturing. They don't keep months of spare parts in a warehouse. They rely on ships like the Leviathan arriving exactly on schedule. 2 weeks later, the factory floor falls eerily silent. The microchips needed for the tractor's navigation systems were on the Leviathan. Without them, the machines cannot be finished. The assembly line halts. Hundreds of workers are sent home. Now the domino effect accelerates. Because that German factory stopped, a massive family-owned farming cooperative in Brazil receives a devastating email. Their fleet of new, highly efficient harvesters will be delayed by 6 months. They are forced to use their old, breaking down equipment. But it gets worse. Remember the skyrocketing fertilizer costs we mentioned earlier? That Brazilian farm is now hit with a double blow. Their machinery is failing, and the fertilizer they need to treat the soil is suddenly too expensive to buy in bulk. The farm's manager makes a grim calculation. They can only afford to plant 60% of their usual wheat crop this year. Fast forward 6 months to the global harvest season. Because farms all over South America, Europe, and Asia face the exact same shortages, the global supply of wheat drops dramatically. And that brings us to the end of the invisible thread. A father walks into a grocery store in New York, London, or Tokyo. He reaches for a basic loaf of bread, a box of pasta, and a bottle of cooking oil, only to find that the prices have nearly doubled since the beginning of the year. He shakes his head, frustrated at the economy. He doesn't know the name of the Leviathan. He doesn't know about the stalled factory in Germany or the struggling farm in Brazil. But he is paying the price of a closed 21-mile waterway in the Middle East every single time he scans an item at the checkout. It is a harsh, visceral reminder that in our hyper-connected world, a single physical roadblock can ripple outward, eventually breaking through the front door of every home on the planet. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and understand the actual impact of these massive global trends before they hit your wallet, hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you never miss a critical breakdown. The geopolitical landscape is shifting faster than ever, and these economic ripple effects are just the beginning of the story. We will keep tracking the hard data, the supply chains, and the reality behind the headlines. Thanks for watching Trend Canvas, and we will see you in the next breakdown.